Hello, this is Patrick with Urban Carry Holsters, and today we're going to be showing you how to field strip and properly clean the Colt Defender Series 90. This is an extremely popular firearm that debuted in 2000. It comes in two different calibers, 45 and 9mm, although people love that it's a compact 1911 that still packs the punch of a 45. For now, we're going to pass this over to Chase, and he's going to show you how to take it apart and properly clean it.
We want to make sure that this firearm is clear before we start working with it. So I'm going to eject the magazine first, make sure that there are no rounds in the magazine, and then I'm going to go ahead and engage my slide catch so I can show you guys that there are no rounds in the chamber. Okay. So this gun doesn't take down like traditional 1911s. Again, the Defenders, they have a different way. You don't have a barrel bushing or a spring plunge, okay? But you still have your slide catch, which you have this little notch right here, okay, as your slide catch, and then there's another little half moon dip right here that's just behind the slide catch that you need to line up with the back of your slide catch right here. Okay, that'll allow you to then push through from the other side on this pin, which is part of the slide catch, and you'll be able to then take your slide off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumb, and I'm just going to brace the back of the handle. Then again, I'm going to take my fingers, and then I'm just going to squeeze. Okay, now use your other hand to kind of guide that little half moon notch to the back, and then just push through from the other side, and then lift out, and you can just set that off to the side. That'll allow you to then take your frame and your slide apart. Now, we're going to work mainly with the slide. I'm going to take my recoil spring off. Okay, it's kind of doubled. Alright, so one part comes apart, the other will stay on, and you don't really want to take this apart too much. Again, it's just a hassle. Then you have your recoil spring plunger. Okay, you can take that out. It's just below the barrel. Then with your barrel, you're going to want to take your barrel lug, okay, this right here, and you want to lay it down. So then you push, and your barrel will come out the front of the slide. So we would definitely want to get some cleaner in this barrel. I can tell you right now, you can't really see with the lights so much. I'm going to try and help you out a little bit. But there is quite a bit of residue in there. So what I use here to get that all clean is Hobby's gun cleaner, okay? And it's the Hobby's Elite gun cleaner. I don't know what makes it elite, but it does do a great job of taking off that excess carbon or the powder fouling, and then also any kind of lead, copper, anything like that. But it does great. So what I'm going to do is you could run a patch through a lead, okay, just like this one, and then swab out the barrel. But what I'm going to do that's just a whole lot easier is I'm going to wrap my brush with my cleaning pad, okay? This, again, simple and it works. Now, something to address is I always go in through the back of the barrel or the bore side, okay? What I don't want to do is end up scratching or nicking my crown. The crown is where the end of your rifling is towards the muzzle. And of course, what it's going to do is disrupt your accuracy. And then, of course, yeah, that's just no fun not being accurate with your firearm. So, if you can take your barrel out, you definitely want to go in through the backside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like I said, wrap my brush in my cleaning swab. Then I'm going to spray it a little bit with this gun cleaner. And then just going to give the barrel one good go through. Alright. Now there's still cleaner on this, and as you can see, some of that powder has already started to come off. But I'm just going to address my little feed ramp that's on the back of the barrel. Okay, and also near my lug. Okay, my barrel lug. That way, anything that could, get in the way of that can get off. Of course, if your cartridge doesn't seat right into your barrel, it's not going to be in battery, and then of course you're going to have, a big problem on your hands, especially when you go to fire. But just set that off to the side. Again, we want this cleaner to sit inside our gun a little bit. It's always good to try and have it sit for a good 5-10 minutes. But next I'm going to work on the slide. How I do that is usually with just a nylon brush. I have these gun cleaning brushes, but you can even use a toothbrush. Those work just fine as well. Again, you don't have to do too crazy with, a lot of like gun cleaning parts. Again, these are just cloth. Okay, it's actually kind of like a nylon cloth, but very simple. But I'm just going to go and address all the areas that look a little discolored. Even my slide rails, again, that's a point of friction, and I don't want anything getting stuck in there and then disabling the slide. I'm going to get underneath my bolt face. Okay, this is where, a lot of gas will get released into, and of course, it's going to get dirty. And just want to make sure that you get it all out of there. When it comes to cleaning your bolt face, okay, which is right here, where your firing pin hole is, you also want to scrub this area. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there is quite a bit of discoloration there. So that's a whole bunch of unburnt powder and brass shavings that we want to get out of there. And this also will help address your extractor too, because if your extractor gets too gunked up and is pushed off to the side, your spent cartridges aren't going to eject properly, and then your semi-automatic is going to turn into a single shot real quick. So what I do for the bolt face is I just turn it upside down. That way I don't get anything inside the firing pin system. And I just give this a good little scrub. Again, we just want that film to get on there of the gun cleaner. That way it can start lifting up anything that's too stuck on the metal. Alright, so after that's done, we want to kind of address our frame. Of course, this is an alloy frame, but still metal, still that powder can stick to it. So I'm going to take a little bit more of my gun cleaner, and I'm just going to go in all the areas where there's going to be that gas that gets released to. And plus, as you can see on the top here, there's a little bit of discoloration. So I'm going to go ahead and scrub there. There's the extension to the feed ramp. Okay, you also want to get that. Again, you want your rounds to go into battery correctly. Scrub the hammer. Again, anywhere where a bunch of dirt and crud can get. Okay, get inside your mag well too. Alright, that's important, especially up towards where your trigger is. And also getting your frame rails. Again, this is a point of friction. Don't want to have any kind of powder or anything gunking that up. Now, of course, I can look and I can see different places where there's a little bit of discoloration on the trigger. Again, this is probably not powder fouling, but it's probably dirt. I'm also going to check underneath my hammer. Okay, as you can see, there's quite a bit of gunk sitting in here. Again, I'm just taking that gun cleaner, setting in a little film on it. That way, you can start lifting it off. Alright, but while that's sitting, I just want to address something, and I try to do it in every single one of my videos, but a part that people tend to not clean is your magazine. Again, and it is just as important. You don't have to clean it as often as you would your firearm, but it is good to give it a once over every couple of months. Okay, and I just wanted to show you real quick how to take it apart. Literally, just take a punch. There's this little pin right here. Okay, and you just depress that, and when you do that, you can start moving your base plate forward. All right. And there's a little buffer pad right there, and of course that holds onto the spring. When you're taking this off, you want to keep your thumb over that because your spring is going to start coming out. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole process of cleaning this. Again, it's just like cleaning your pistol. Okay, you want to make sure that you scrub inside, and then scrub down the spring. Even the follower, again, all kinds of dirt and stuff can get in here, and then wipe it all down. And again, use gun cleaner. Don't use really oil when you're cleaning your gun. At least I would advise against it. Oil tends to attract dirt and that excess powder. So the next time you go to clean your gun, you're just gonna have to clean it even more. The only time I use a little bit of oil is just to address the slide rails, but I'll show you exactly how much oil you really just need to use, or at least how much I would use, and I'm even scarce about that. I don't even want to use the amount that I'd even show you. But since we've had all this stuff sitting here, and one thing I forgot to address is also the guide rod and the spring. Okay, just going to get some of that gun cleaner on there. Scrub it down. Again, any kind of metal part, I want to get this on there. Even your recoil spring bushing. Again, all this stuff is subject to that gas blowback, so just make sure you give it a once over. Make sure it's clean. But now that we've done that, we're just going to go back to where we started with the barrel, and we're going to start wiping it down and getting all the crud that the Hoppy's Elite Gun Cleaner has been breaking down. So I'm going to take my brush. Just going to go through a couple of times, just enough to make sure I lift all that stuff off the rifling. And of course, it's going in through the back of the barrel. Again, don't want to disrupt that crown. But now that that's all scrubbed out, we're just going to take another one of our cleaning pads, a clean one, and give that a run through. Right. And again, if you're you don't clean your gun very often after shooting, you might have to repeat these steps. But if you clean your gun in each time that you go to the range, you're only going to come out with a little bit of this. But again, just make sure that it is clean. Okay, and I'm looking down the barrel, and it looks like we're pretty clean. So, of course, there's gun cleaner and other aspects of the barrel, like on the barrel lug. Okay, on that feed ramp, and just wipe it down. And then you're done with your barrel. Now, I'm going to take that same cloth. There's not really too much powder residue on this, and I'm just going to start wiping down my slide in the areas that I can, at least with this cloth. Okay, again, anywhere that you put that gun cleaner, you want to make sure that you clean off. And I'm just doing the most that I can with my fingers. You see, there's quite a bit in there. But that's why I also have these Q-tips. Okay, these are gun cleaning Q-tips. And you can get these at any gun store, but you don't necessarily have to get these. You can just go get regular Q-tips. They work the same, in all honesty. So I'm just going to go ahead and get, a little bit more into those slide grooves. Make sure that I'm picking up all that powder fouling. So you can see, there's quite a bit in there. Any of the barrel grooves that are in the slide. Okay. Also, underneath, right next to the bolt face. Sometimes I might even have to tear it up a little bit. That way, kind of gives it a little afro. But that way I can just make sure that I get all those little crevices. Again, you don't want to leave any of that stuff in your gun. Now I'm just wiping down the bolt face around my extractor. And once you give it another, once over, making sure that everything's clean and wipe down, and you're done with your slide. Okay, of course, take all the other parts that I wiped down with gun cleaner. Okay, something I do for the spring is I'll fold it in half and set it down, and then just start spinning the spring. As you can see, it's starting to come out towards the other end of my fingers. And that just makes sure that it gets all around it. As you can see, there's a little bit on there. So, again, these are places that are good to clean. Make sure we get our recoil spring bushing. And then, of course, we also did a bunch of cleaner on our slide. So we're going to go through and make sure that we wipe all this down. Again, I'm going to try and get anywhere I can with one of these pads. And then the rest I'll get with one of those Q-tips. And anywhere that you put the cleaner, you want to make sure that you address. As you can see, it's a good thing that we started cleaning this firearm. Something else you can do, especially if you're cleaning your mag well, go ahead and take, if you have one of these leads, go ahead and put a patch through. You can even take, there's little forceps that like lock, and you can just grab onto one of these and clean it out the same. But again, we just want to make sure that we wipe it all down. So you can see, there's a little bit in there. But I'm going to take one of my Q-tips again, and anywhere that was just hard for me to get with that cloth. Make sure you go like a little bit behind the trigger. And then also near your mainspring housing, which you can see in the mag well when you look down it. Okay, so yeah, just definitely get one of those Q-tips in there. Maybe that is, I mean, honestly, maybe it is a good idea to go ahead and get some of these, because then you have a little bit of length to get in harder reach spots of your frame, especially if you don't want to do a full takedown of your firearm. And now everything is wiped down and ready to put back together. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my barrel, and I'm going to make sure my barrel lug is down, and I'm just going to put it in right into the front of the slide. Make sure that it goes all the way back, and then of course flip that barrel lug back to the upright position. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, okay? Especially if you haven't done any kind of work to your firearm. Okay, so definitely make sure you put your spring bushing in there. Now, when it comes to this rod, it's the backing on it that goes onto the barrel lug is quite thin, and also when you put it in, it moves, okay? You might have trouble putting this gun back together, alright? So, but what we're going to do is same way, and again, this end with the spring, okay, that's not locked down like this one, this is what goes in first. Okay, so go ahead and put that on, and then if you can see this groove in this plate, that's going to go on top of the barrel. So go ahead and insert your spring and bring that barrel down. But as you can see how it's now leaning to the right? That's going to leave some trouble for getting. Whoop, see, as you can see, it can be problematic. It's a good thing that didn't fly very far. But that barrel lug, okay, doesn't seat to where you can actually put your extractor pin back in. So you have to kind of, the way that I do it is I start to reconnect my slide, okay? Make sure that this is up, okay? Sometimes you might have to push on that spring and then bring it back. Now, looking through that takedown pinhole, you're going to see that barrel lug, and I'm just going to kind of wiggle it, and I can only see maybe a quarter of it. So what I usually do is I usually take a punch, or if you have like a Glock tool, but more likely enough, if you have tools around the house, you're going to have a punch. I, from the other side, will insert that punch so I have something to guide that pin in. So that way, when I'm starting to push this pin in, I can move that punch forward just slightly. And of course you're going to have to wiggle it. Alright? It is quite difficult. I wish there was another way of doing it. Now, they do make replacement parts for these. And the replacement spring and spring housing is a lot easier to deal with than this. Also, as you can see, I'm taking the slide back a little bit. That way, I can get a... See, there you go. The pin has just set back in. As long as it goes in, most of the way, that's all you need. But then take that little hook that's on the edge of the extractor and put it below the little detent pin that's right here. And then just push up. Okay? And make sure that you get it to where that little half moon crescent is. Again, it was hard and I was lucky, but just want to place it right in. Again, make sure that you line up that little half moon circle with the edge of your extractor. Let go of your slide, and your firearm is now ready for concealed carry.
Alright, now we're going to go over some additional details about the Colt Defender. This firearm features low-mounted Novak sights, and these are metal sights with standard 3 white dot sights. Of course, you can get aftermarket sights for these, and even though they're low-mounted, they do stick up quite a bit. The slide is stainless steel, and this one has a stainless finish on it, and the barrel is also stainless steel. You've got a scalloped ejection port here. Moving down into the frame is all aluminum, and this one comes in a gray matte finish. You've also got some slide serrations here to help you rack the slide. Over here on the other side of the firearm, you have your slide catch and release, and then here is your extended thumb safety, which is very easy to operate. Just like that. Here you have an extended beaver tail to help prevent any slide bite, and you've actually got a little bit of a ridge right here, which helps make sure that this is disengaged to fire the pistol. The trigger pull on this is pretty minimal, and the trigger doesn't have far to go. That's the example of that. And moving down into the grips, you've got Hogue rubber grips on this model, but of course, as with any 1911, you can change these out to your liking. Moving down into the magazine, you've got a standard single stack magazine for those 45 ACP rounds, and this one holds 7 plus 1 in the chamber if you want to carry 8. This firearm, as I mentioned earlier, also comes in 9mm. This is a great firearm for concealed carry or home defense that was made by Colt. They know how to make a great product, and this is a heavy hitter. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you have a friend that would appreciate this video, definitely share it with them on social media. You can always find more from us on firearms cleaning and care, best concealed carry practices, and how to use the full line of Urban Carry products by simply searching Urban Carry holsters. That's it for today, and until next time, keep calm and return fire.